Welcome to the Local
724 podcast.
in 3, 2, 1.
In studio today, we have Zach and Victoria Piekut of the Wight Elephant Boutique here in Greensburg and in Irwin. You guys have 2 locations?
Yes.
Awesome. And you guys are brother and sister, co-owners?
Right.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. It's a fun thing to get you guys in here. I should have probably had you guys in earlier, but I can't can't have all the fire guests up front, so I gotta spread you guys out.
Nice.
Right? So let's talk a little bit about the shop, how you guys kind of got into the retail game, and then we'll split off and we'll talk a little bit about you guys personally, your backgrounds, and things like that.
Sure.
Sound good?
Sure.
Well, it's a little bit of a long story, I would say, with how we got started. I would attribute that to my time in pageantry. I did pageants all throughout my my high school and college career. And through that, I had some opportunities to model at a place called Atlanta Apparel Mart. And basically what that is, it's in downtown Atlanta, and it is a building with about 15 floors of just thousands of showrooms. And it's crazy. A couple different times a year, brands and vendors will go down there and debut their new lines. And they have, especially for prom and bridal vendors, they'll have girls come in and model the new lines in like a little fun runway show for the buyers. Mm-hmm. And so I had some opportunities doing that. And that's how I really got involved in fashion and really started to fall in love with it. I also would go and run on my breaks to the boutique apparel floors just to see what would be trending for the next season. Yeah. I would be in like my robe and my slippers, and I would just run down on my 15-minute break. But I would see all these different women of all different ages, even women holding like newborn babies, walking around buying for their boutiques. And so I was really inspired. And at the time, I was still in college at the University of Pittsburgh studying marketing. So I talked to my family, and I had the idea for opening an online women's fashion boutique, kind of really as a way to see if I could do it, but also to try to make some extra money during college and put what I was studying to use. And, we kind of threw the idea around for a bit over breakfast a lot of different weeks. Yeah. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it alone. I really needed their help and their expertise. Zach, he's a software engineer, so he's software engineer by day, white elephant tech guru by night. Yeah. And my parents, their whole career lives have been in retail. That's actually how they met. Oh, okay. So I knew that I had all the resources just in my immediate family to make it work. So we kind of gave it a go.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's really cool that, you had that all that support,
right,
from the get-go, because, I feel like a lot of people could go to their parents and family and say like, hey, here's my idea. And they would be like, yeah, keep dreaming.
Get a real job.
Right? Yeah.
I think that's maybe how it started.
I think it is.
Bit, actually.
Well, Dad was actually the one that was really excited about it.
He was he had been working for, decades, running stores, retail stores, but, not ones he owned.
Right.
Not ones that he...
They were still corporate.
Yeah, not ones that he had like personal involvement in, creative decisions and less all the time, right? There used to be more of that, and it gets more and more corporate, whatever. So he was like ready to go.
He was excited.
Right away. Awesome. And eventually we, batted it back and forth, and we were like, yeah, we could do this. Yeah, we could do this. Like, why not? Let's do it. And
that's awesome.
And with me and my background in like social media marketing, with the titles that I had, I knew that I had already an audience to market to with all of the girls that I knew through pageantry.
Right.
There's a very fine, I'd say, niche market there where people can find really fancy cocktail and gowns to wear for pageants, and then they can find really super casual, but not that nice in between that you need for rehearsals, appearances, check-in. And I knew that I could find that look, especially having been to that apparel mart. And so that was kind of the idea, was to market it to my friends, pageant girls across the country. I had that network.
Yeah.
And it kind of grew from there. So we did pop-ups around the Pittsburgh area. And then in June of 2018, we had the opportunity to open our first storefront in downtown Irwin, which is where we're from. So it was really cool to open a boutique right in that downtown area that we've grown up in. And my dad actually ended up taking early retirement the night before we opened the store so that he could come and help run it with us.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was
Became-
really cool.
It's been a total family affair from the very beginning, but then it only got more and more so like as it went on, and he switched to full-time White Elephant. And eventually like my wife switched to full-time White Elephant
Yeah.
as
That's
we
awesome.
grew. Yeah, and so it's
My
really
boyfriend's the
become-
photographer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it did really go from like Victoria wants to start a business.
Yeah.
And we're
To,
kind of
like-
excited about it to like the whole family's running a
And
business.
my mom and I are the ones that go on the buying trips together. So a
that's
couple,
fun.
well, not, circa 2020, but
Yeah.
prior to 2020, we would go a few different times a year across the country to the different vendor markets and buy for the store as well.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah. I actually used to work in a corporate retail environment. I worked at American Eagle.
Oh,
And,
did you? That's cool.
So I was the video director down there.
Cool.
And
awesome.
when I decided to leave, we were in the middle of buying a house. So I kind of needed that on the old credit report. And
Right.
the day we bought the house, I went in and gave my 2 weeks, and I was all done.
That's how
to
you do
it.
go and run my own business.
That's what you got to do.
So it's wild. But I think it's so cool that you guys took this on as a huge team, family. I mean that everybody's like really involved. It's awesome.
Very.
Yeah.
And a lot of it just came out of necessity. Like
Right.
there's just so much to do
Yeah.
that people just start picking things up. Like who can do this? Who can do that?
Who can learn this?
who can learn? Yeah,
Overnight.
a lot of it. Well, that was the thing too. Like when we approached it, we were thinking, well, we generally speaking have the set of skills required to do this, which was kind of true. But I think 90%,
Baseline.
yeah, 90% of it at least we had to learn along the way.
For sure.
And so realistically, like whatever skills we thought we had or we did have was really only like gave us the confidence to do it.
Try.
Yeah, we didn't know
Yeah.
most of what we needed, which I mean is probably the case with pretty much everybody that starts. a
Everybody.
business.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yep.
And people don't realize that, especially for a business like a boutique, you are working 24/7. I think small business owners in general just work constantly.
Yeah.
And it's tiring, but if you have a team where you can kind of farm out responsibilities, it's a lot better and you're able to get the job done.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and there's that whole sense of, I'm not doing this for somebody else. I'm doing this for myself.
Right. It's motivating.
And, I mean, yeah. And in your case, I mean, you guys are doing this for each other, like your family.
Right.
So that's even more motivating.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It definitely is.
So that's really cool. So you guys opened the shop in Irwin. In what year was that?
June of 2018.
Okay. And then Greensburg, the Greensburg shop.
October of
October
2019.
last year.
Nice.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And so we
So-
went in a period of what, a year and a half. from
Yeah. Well,
no
we
stores.
the Irwin store was like 400 to 500 square feet. It was a little shoebox of a
Yeah.
store, and it was perfect for what we needed when we started out. But we quickly realized that we needed to expand, and wanted to expand.
Yeah.
So
The want was immediate.
the want was immediate.
and then the need came a little later.
Right,
We were
yeah.
like, we can't fit all of this in here
Yeah.
at
Right.
all.
And so we were throwing around the idea of opening a second store somewhere else, or waiting for the opportunity to maybe expand the first one if a store
Yeah.
happened to move out. And so we did eventually decide on opening our second store here in Greensburg. But then, 2 weeks later, our landlord was like, hey, the
Basically.
store next door to you is moving out. Do you want to knock a hole in the wall and double your size? And we were like, crap, if we don't do that, another store is going to go in next door to us and we'll
Right.
never be able to expand this first store. So at the same exact time in 2019, we were doubling the size of our Irwin store and building this Greensburg store from the ground up, basically. And our grand opening date of Greensburg was 2 weeks prior to me competing for Miss Pennsylvania USA.
Wow.
It was a big year.
Busy?
I blocked out most of 2019.
Right. Yeah.
It's
God.
a huge blur.
It's a
for me,
huge
too.
blur.
I remember like the milestones,
Yeah. Oh, same.
Yeah.
and that's about it.
That's about it.
I mean, that's insane to me to think that you're taking a big step in opening a second shop,
Right.
and then at the same time you're just like, well, we have to do that. I mean, that's the move. You have
Right.
to do that.
You have to.
So you're basically opening 2 shops.
Yeah, we
and
had to
then-
plan 2 grand
yeah.
openings
Yeah, we
within 3 months.
Holy
2-3
cow.
months of each other.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, we're still trying to operate out of the shoebox
Right.
Irwin store. But to expand, they had to, that building is well over 100 years old. And it's got really thick brick walls. Like the kind, they don't make them like that anymore.
Right, yeah.
Those kind.
Yeah, those kind.
And so we had to go, I remember me and Dad down there, like covering all of the merchandise.
Yep, with plastic.
With plastic. Because the next day they were going to be drilling through, and it took them like days to just get through there.
We would come in and there would just be piles of like orange sawdust in the corners.
And
we're
like
like,
we don't have like a warehouse,
Right.
like that was where we were shipping out of everything. Now we've got a little bit more space to work with.
a little, but
Yeah.
But back then that was it. And we're trying to get all this done at the same time, and it was a crazy time.
I can't even
was.
imagine just like jumping in the car to go to like Greensburg to Irwin and back and forth. And
we
like,
put a lot of miles on our cars.
no doubt. Good Lord.
Yeah.
So why Greensburg? Talk to me about that. How did you guys decide on Greensburg?
I think that the first indication was we had a lot of customers coming to the Irwin store from Greensburg.
Okay.
And they were the ones that kind of piqued our interest to start. And they were saying, I love your store. I love coming here, but I wish you were closer. And so we started looking more into it. And, Greensburg used to be this really thriving town. And there were so many different shops, so many different things to do. And in most recent years, it wasn't really like that. But there was starting to be a resurgence. And as we kind of dove a little bit further into it, we were like, okay, we really want to be a part of this. We want to be a part of the community, bringing people to the community and showing others that there is so much that Greensburg has to offer. There are things that you wouldn't even think that would be here, like a cute boutique.
Right. Yeah.
So we were just really excited about the community and the area and the opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, it really is set up nicely
Yeah.
for something like this, for
Absolutely.
this resurgence to take place.
Right.
I mean, like, people think of, I didn't even know that like downtown Irwin had an amazing like local scene down there
Right.
until recently. And like that's like such a thing about like Ligonier. Everybody loves Ligonier
Right.
because of how it looks. And
Right.
And
I
it's
think
been that way for like forever.
Yeah.
Back when there wasn't a scene in maybe Greensburg or Irwin or whatever, Ligonier has not changed in that regard
Right,
for
yeah.
like a long time.
yeah, everybody just like loves these areas, and it's nice that Greensburg is, we were there, faded away, and now we're coming back. I
Right.
think
It's really exciting.
Yeah, a lot of these small towns are, and really, like, I guess that's the thing, why Greensburg, why Irwin, too, and it's because both of these towns are really on their way up in a big way. There's a lot going on, and there's a
Right.
lot of people opening really cool businesses or just doing really cool things
Yeah.
in all of these areas, and, hey, who doesn't want to be a part of that?
Right? Absolutely. I mean, that was like the biggest thing. When I saw all of this starting to take place, I was like, man, I'd really like to figure out how to like shine a light on all these cool businesses and like all this
Right.
cool stuff that's like, coming up around here.
And it's awesome that you do that.
It's
Yeah,
so
it
much
really is.
fun. I really like doing this a lot because like, I mean, this is my opportunity to like network with people.
Right.
Sure.
And I don't have to wake up at like 5 a.m. to go to like BNI or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's just like, no, you can come to me and we'll do this at like 3 in the
I
afternoon.
got the perfect
Come
place
to my
for it. You should come here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. But I mean, outside of like the store, the retail, all of that stuff, I mean, like obviously you guys have interests, separate interests. You're a musician, right?
I was.
You were a musician.
Yeah. I don't have time anymore.
That's the thing. I was talking to one of my best friends yesterday, and we were talking about skateboarding. We love skateboarding.
Yeah.
And that was just something that we loved to do when we were younger.
Right.
And we were just like, oh man, that was the first thing that dropped off.
Yes.
And then it was just like, and I actually thought of that one line in The Sandlot. It was like, we all went out to play for the last time and nobody knew that it was like the last time to go do that. And I was
Now I
like,
feel
Man,
bad.
that hits hard.
it really does.
Why'd you have to attack me like that today?
Oh, now I feel guilty.
Yeah.
My guitar's sitting somewhere.
Right?
I haven't touched it in
Dude,
a long time.
Now's the time. I'm
Oh,
telling
wow.
And maybe. Yeah,
You should.
it's in the basement next to the bass guitar that I haven't touched in a long time.
you. So tell me a little bit, I guess, about like each one of you, like your backgrounds and stuff, and then like, kind of what your thoughts were getting into the retail business. We kind of heard your whole into the retail business, but like,
Right.
Zach, I don't know that, any guy really thinks like, oh, that's what I'm doing.
Women's fashion.
Yeah.
Women's fashion boutique. Let's go.
It's funny too because it's less weird, I think, it was less of a jump for me considering how we grew up, you know, with
Right.
our father running stores and being very involved in that.
Very
business.
enthusiastic about women's fashion specifically.
Yeah, like as a career, right? So like it wasn't that weird.
Yeah.
But no, I did not think that I would have a retail career, even
Right.
if it was on the tech side still.
Yep.
Outside of, you know, there are software engineer jobs for some of these big companies that, you know, I looked at when I was graduating or whatever, and I thought that was about what it was going to be.
Yeah.
But when this started happening, you know, I had been involved a few different times in a few different like startup type projects.
Okay.
I was really interested in that when I was in college and like immediately
He
outside
won
of it.
Startup Weekend
I
in
did
Pittsburgh.
one time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
One
with a group of people, and actually that was for a retail.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It
It
was
for online
retail.
shopping.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was a thing that I'd looked at before.
Okay.
and I had done some research into for a while, and then I was involved in something that was in the like the nonprofit space, you know, and that was very local focused. You know, really focused on local communities and sort of bridging the gaps where there's like a lot of work for community involvement and community improvement that needs to be done.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that might want to do that work. And how do we connect these things? Like that was that project. And so I was already sort of in the retail space once.
Right.
And then really thinking locally and communally. And it's like, hey, do we want to start like a local community business
Online?
but also online and like really tech it out and make it great? And then, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like I'm familiar with these things.
Right.
That sounds really exciting. And you know, so I think it took like a minute to get me on board, but like eventually.
Well, I think the reason why you kind of really got involved is we were all like talking about the ways to do things, and you're like, no, guys, stop. This is how we do this.
You're right. That sounds like me.
You're like, let me handle
Like, what
this,
if we
please.
do this? And I'm like,
No.
We're going to use this platform. We're going to set the site up this way.
Yep.
We're going to offer these features. We're going to do whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what, and like, how do we do POS? I'm like, I got you.
Amazing.
That's how that
Because I had
started.
looked up, I had looked into all of this already
Right.
for like different related things. So like, I kind of already knew, at least on a basic level, the answers. They're trying to figure it out. I'm like, nah, we got to do
Yeah.
this.
You're like, let me save you the time.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you how we're going to do this.
And it was fun.
Yeah, it worked out great.
That's awesome. I kind of did that with my wife. I was like, pretend that I don't know how to do laundry, and then she just does it. So it's just like, it's an easy way to make people do
Is
things
that
that
how
you
that
want.
works?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, me personally, I always kind of gravitated towards, like, you know, online selling and things too. I really enjoyed my time, like, in the retail game. I thought it was really fun just to, like, you know, be working for such a giant company.
Oh, for sure.
And, you know, having those benefits, taking the trips and, you know, doing all kinds of fun things, filming, getting to
Right.
know, like, models. I mean, that was awesome. It was like, you know, it's crazy just to like be in LA and just like have like Isker Lawrence like be like, oh, hey, what's up? What are you having for lunch? And I'm just like, oh, hey, it's a burger. I'm just, you know, whatever. And she's just like, all right, have a nice lunch. And
You're
like, it's
oh,
awesome.
okay.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like such a weird space to be in. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. And I kind of started a little bit in that world too, because
Yeah.
even prior to modeling at the Apparel Mart, I was signed with a talent group and still am in Pittsburgh. And I started to model for companies like Fisher Price, Joanne Fabrics, Philip Pelusi, Dick's Sporting Goods. And so I kind of had a little bit of that where I'm on all these sets. There's all these cameras, there's people.
Yeah.
I'm like shooting for Joanne Fabrics. Like it was a national campaign and I'm like 16 years old. And that was just really cool. But those opportunities helped me with this business too, because I'm the model for the website.
yeah.
So all of that and all the experiences that I had modeling for e-commerce, and I did, I modeled for Rue 21 once for their e-commerce on their website. So everything that I did in that aspect also prepared me for this venture too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's just like, you know, everything I think that, when we were just talking when you guys got in here before the mics got turned on, and it was just like, we were talking about like your drive as far as Instagram goes and your marketing experience and things. And it's just like, if you look at your Instagram, everybody else should feel lazy. Everyone is just like, whoa, I'm not doing enough with my
thanks.
Instagram or marketing or anything.
But see, I feel that way. I always feel like we can improve and kind of push.
I don't know what else you're going to do.
I guess we'll find out.
I'm sure she knows.
Right?
I'll come up with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what's been a little bit challenging. I know we haven't really touched on this yet, but for the past, I guess, since November, 8 months, 9 months, in November, I won Miss Pennsylvania USA 2020 and immediately started doing like multiple appearances per week, traveling every single weekend. From November through February, I was booked solid every weekend and during the week. Also while trying to prep for Miss USA and run the stores. So almost immediately I had to be like, all right, all hands on deck. Who's doing what? Because I don't have time. So we're still kind of in that mode. And that's what's been a little bit difficult for me because, you know, this is like my baby. This is our baby.
Right.
And so it's been a good learning experience for me to learn how to let go a little
Yeah.
bit and give opportunities to other people and let their creativity shine. And so I guess it's good that it still looks like I'm like fully running it. We have a lot of different people that help with our social media, which
good.
is great. We have a really great support team.
I mean, it's awesome that you guys have a team that you can like really trust to get everything out there and take care of things. I mean, like while you're on the road or doing whatever you have to do,
Right.
it's got to be very, very comforting to know that like everything's good.
The baby
Everything
has
is
great
good.
babysitters.
Well, I
Right,
remember,
yeah.
I remember when we had not been open that long in Irwin, and we like were talking about all going on the buying trip, and we were like, wait, we can't. Who's going to run the store? Like, we can't all go.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? And now we actually can all be doing something else while the store is open,
Yeah.
Right.
and not have to worry about a thing.
When we opened, it was just me and Dad
Yeah.
running the Irwin
Down there
store
every
every
day.
single day. We didn't have employees yet. It was us.
Yeah.
And the first employee we had was my friend Hannah. She lived in basically Baltimore, Maryland. I met her through pageantry,
Okay.
and we talked basically every day. And she coordinated a photo shoot with 4 models that we knew through pageantry in Maryland. We sent her a bunch of clothes. She got a photographer, and she did this whole shoot for us for the website, which was awesome. And so she also kind of started to get a little bit involved. And I guess somehow we convinced her to move to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't know how we did that.
I think she also just wanted out of Maryland because she'd never gone anywhere else really
Yeah.
or lived anywhere else.
Let's try something new.
Try something
got
new.
a
She's
friend
in her early 20s.
I got a friend in Irwin,
I got a friend in
Pennsylvania.
Irwin. Let's
Like-
go. So then she was our first employee. And then, you know, as the holiday season started to come around, we started to hire on more part-time people as we grew. So did our base of employees. And now we have around, excluding us, I think it might be almost 20 people on rotation,
Yeah,
Wow.
like something like that.
something like that.
Plus, you know, a couple store managers, and that was the real push. Was you know, when you open a second store,
Yeah.
even if you can be in one store every day, like you can't run 2 stores one town
Yeah.
over from. So we just had
No.
to find really great people to get involved that we could.
And
that
our
we knew
store
that we could
manager-
trust to not just like do what we would want to do, but do things that we wouldn't even think of. You know,
Yeah.
and do
Right.
even better.
And our store manager currently at the Greensburg location is Bria, who I graduated with from high school. So I've known
Okay.
her since like middle school. So that's
that's
been
awesome.
really cool too.
Yeah, I mean, that's really neat that you guys are able to, like I said, you know, just kind of step away and feel comfortable. And,
Right.
But you're like, you did this as a family, and now you're like including your friends and stuff. It's,
Right.
it's really awesome that like that whole network is kind of just starting to
Exactly.
spread out a little bit.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about pageantry and things like that. I wanted to save this for the end because I want people to be like, I want to hear all about that. So you got to listen to the whole goddamn episode,
Right. That was smart planning.
right?
So I started in pageantry in 2012 as a way to really gain more stage experience singing opera because I'm an opera singer, classically trained at Duquesne University on the weekends in high school. They had a weekend program for kids, and that's where I really got involved and was trained. And so I wanted to pursue that in college, and I was actually accepted. I think it was one of like 12 students or something like that accepted into their voice program. But before that, I didn't really have a lot of experience to put on my performance resume. So I started to do pageants, and I started out in this system called National American Miss, which is really focused on developing like the confidence of young girls.
Okay.
And it's very natural. It's about developing confidence, making friends, you know, and embracing who you are. And so I was very interested because they had a talent competition, and it was optional. It didn't count towards the overall score, but they had this extra thing that you could enter and like maybe get an award or something cool. And so I was like, you know, how great would that be, Mom, if I won the statewide talent competition? I could put that on my resume. It would be amazing. And she's like, all right, fine. And so I think I asked her for like 3 years, and she finally gave in. And I went to the state competition, and in talent, I think I placed third runner-up, but in the overall pageant, I placed first runner-up, and there were over 100 girls competing.
Wow.
So then I was like, oh, well, this was fun, and it kind of turned out well. I think I'll keep doing this.
Meanwhile, our mother's like, oh, she's going to want to keep doing this.
Yeah, as soon as I'm on stage, it's like first run up, she's like, oh no, like, this is starting something. And so I continued to come back. And then in 2014, I won my first state title, and it was for that system. I was the National American Miss Pennsylvania Junior Teen, which the junior teen is like age division 13 to 15.
Okay.
And so then from there, I got to go to Anaheim, California to compete for the national pageant. And there I placed first runner up to the national title. Sorry, this is like super long pageantry background info, but
No, it's all right. It's interesting because I mean, like being a kid at that point, like between 13 and 15 years old, like what's going through your mind thinking I'm traveling to California because I'm involved with this pageant thing.
And honestly, I started doing pageants. It was my sophomore year of high school, and I got a lot of backlash in high school from it. I was bullied a lot because people thought that I assumed I was better than everybody else because I wanted to compete in pageants. When in reality, it was just something really fun, and it was different and unique. It made me feel unique. It was something that not many people I knew were doing, and it was something unique to me at the time, and I just really enjoyed it. And so it was interesting, you know, whenever I won, and then I did get to go to California, and then I really started to see all the opportunities and experiences that can come through pageantry. It's not necessarily just a fun weekend once in the summer. There's really great opportunities through it, and networking is crazy. And to kind of top that off, when I got first runner-up, as soon as we came home, I got a message from a state director from another system called International Junior Miss who said, hey, we saw you compete. We don't have a Pennsylvania teen. Would you want to take our Pennsylvania teen title and go and compete at this international pageant? And I was like, yeah, sounds great. And my dad was like, we have been home for 1 week from California. Can we take a break, please? And I was like, they're giving me the title. So eventually, I guess we all decided that would be a fun idea. And
that was like 6 months later too, right? Like
the pageant, it hadn't only once I competed at that international pageant, it had only been a year, basically, not even, since I first won that other state title. So like all in a year, I did like 3 major pageants. And I went to that international competition, and it was the 50 states plus a few other countries from around the world, and I ended up winning, which none of us expected. No. I think
we were proud.
Oh, yeah.
We did not expect it.
No, thank you. But I mean, I never expected either. Yeah. But I remember Mom saying that as soon as they called my name as the winner, she stood up and went, "We have a dog! Like, who's gonna watch the dog?" And because
that's her top thought.
That was her first thought out of her mouth, is we have a dog.
We have to travel now.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Well, with that title came an international trip in the fall and a Caribbean cruise in the spring.
Dang.
And I was like 18, 19 at the time.
Now, was this for the whole family? The whole family has to go on this?
They can, but
I got to go on the cruise.
You got to go on the cruise. That was fun.
That was fun.
My whole family did go on that. But
this is fantastic.
It was pretty nice, right? Yeah.
We got to swim with the dolphins in at Atlantis.
I forgot about that.
Can we pretend I'm like your cousin?
Yeah.
Something like that. Just be like, I'm here to do talking things. I'm gonna
He's here to
record.
film.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like when you win these titles, the prize package is really for you.
Yeah.
So anybody else that wants to come on the trip, they kind of have to pay their way. But my mom traveled with me everywhere. So our international trip in the fall was to London and Paris.
Holy cow.
So my mom and I got to go to London and Paris, which was really cool. And then in the spring, my whole family went on the Caribbean cruise.
I remember when that happened too, and it was like, okay, well, which of these things do you want to go on? And I was like, I don't have enough paid time off to go on to do all the traveling that you're doing, not nearly enough.
Right. Well, and we didn't even know where our international trip was. It was like a month after we had won. Our director called us and was like, so how do we feel about London and Paris?
Yeah.
And I was like, we feel really good about that.
Yeah.
But basically after that, I did a few more pageants and then finally decided that it was time to kind of go with my dream of Pennsylvania, USA. And I wanted to make sure, because then we started this business right after I gave up that international teen title. It was like 3 months later was when we launched online with White Elephant. And that was just growing like crazy. And so I wanted to make sure that I was in a point in my life where I felt comfortable enough to step away and be able to compete. And then if I won, everything would still be able to run. And so in 2018, I competed for the 2019 title. And it was my first pageant with the swimsuit competition, with the famous onstage question.
Yeah.
So I was really nervous, but I ended up placing second runner-up. So I was like, all right, I'm giving it one more shot. We're going to come back, go big or go home. And that was this past year, and I ended up winning.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
It's like, and like the whole idea is just like that you had this all planned out, and it just like it happened.
I was so excited. I was like, thank you, God. Like this worked out to
Oh my
exactly
God.
my plan.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
like the opportunities and things I think that you would get from, networking with all of these people is
Right.
just like, it's such a fantastic thing.
Oh, my favorite thing this past year before COVID shut everything down was I got to go to Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney as Miss
Oh.
Pennsylvania, USA.
Fantastic.
I got to go on stage. I got to meet Punxsutawney Phil. So talk about networking.
Wow. Man, you're in good now. How about his cousin Gus, the little lottery guy?
I didn't get to meet him yet.
Maybe if COVID hadn't happened.
Maybe. Well, yeah, I guess we'll never know. But
That's so cool. I mean, like, what I guess is it like to have a sister that is Miss Pennsylvania?
you're used to it now.
I'm not sorta. You never fully get
yeah,
used to it.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
You keep escalating it. That's the problem. If you had stayed at the same level, I would have gotten used to it. But every time I turn around, you're like, here's my new title.
Doing
like,
new
here's
things.
I just had I was just at Groundhog Day, like on the stage. I'm like, oh, okay.
I just went to New York this
But,
past weekend.
Yeah, I've learned
Yeah.
to expect to hear things like this constantly.
Right. Yeah.
So,
That's true. Yeah, that's
It's
fair.
so
Because
funny.
now we're prepping for Miss USA, which will be nationally televised. I think on Fox
Wow.
for everybody to see. We don't have a date yet. Everything got pushed back because of COVID, so I'm still waiting to find out. But yeah, which is pretty crazy. I'll be on national TV in a swimsuit.
fun.
Something I guess you could check off your bucket list if
There you
that's
go.
on there. But yeah, it's just it's crazy because I aspired always to be Miss Pennsylvania USA, but I didn't really think after that. I wasn't
Right.
like, well, if I'm Miss Pennsylvania USA, I get to go to Miss USA and compete for that title. My brain didn't like go that far.
Just kind of stopped.
And so I was like, when I won, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to Miss USA.
Oh,
like,
now what?
now what?
Yeah.
The prep starts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been a really crazy, wild dream.
No doubt. Sounds like it. I mean, so like as far as the different kind of like restrictions and stuff like that, like are you like what kind of like strange rules do you have to follow being in holding a title like this?
There aren't, I mean, there's not like,
like social media wise, things like that.
well,
I
I now have a second Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook that I run as the Miss Pennsylvania USA accounts. So I'm posting basically on my personal, on
Yeah.
White Elephant, on all of my Miss Pennsylvania accounts. Like there would be just days that I would sit down and just like answer messages all day long,
Don't
emails.
forget the one for the dog.
Oh yeah, my dog has an Instagram too, so
You run a lot of accounts.
You're an overachiever.
I try. But so I would just found myself automatically extremely busy.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you're Miss Pennsylvania. You have to keep that going. It's not just like you won this weekend and then that's it. It's really a full-time job. And so, you're required to go to as many appearances as you can, be out in the community. And then the main big requirement is that you have to go compete at Miss USA. So the day after I won, we were in a big contract signing, and they immediately give you the contract for the, hey, I just won Miss USA contract. And I was like, oh. And because if you win Miss USA, that night, they put you on a red-eye flight and move you to New York City for the year. And you live with Miss Universe in an apartment in Manhattan.
Well, dang.
So they want to make sure that, their state title holders are okay with that.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you win, you have to sign the Miss USA contract, and then you're allowed to go compete.
Wow. It sounds like a wild ride.
It is. Thank you for noticing.
I feel like you've built the base, the foundation for this to happen.
And
everything is set up.
Right.
You're ready to go.
We hope.
Well,
right?
we hope. Because the interesting thing is, since whoever wins Miss USA doesn't come home, when you go and leave for the pageant, you don't know if you're coming back to your regular life or not.
Yeah.
So everybody typically has like a send-off party. I don't know if that'll happen in COVID 2020, but everybody usually has a send-off party as a way to be like, hey, in case I don't come back, like, see ya.
Wow. That is such a wild thing.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's exciting too. I mean, they're so different from anything else out there that people really get to experience.
It's so neat. I mean, like, on top of, I guess, just seeing your pageant videos and stuff in the last few weeks, just to help me out with this interview and stuff. It was just like, seeing like some videos of you online, seeing you like on shoots in like New York and stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
And I think especially in the normal years when COVID-19 isn't a thing, people are going constantly all year round. And so I was like that through the beginning of March.
Yeah.
And so when COVID hit, it wasn't, a good reason that we all went into quarantine, but I got to at least take a little bit of a break. And I felt like I needed that at the time. I needed a little bit of a mental reprieve. And even so, I'm just doing online appearances now because in-person events aren't really happening. So I feel like I'm having a very different year than other title holders, and one that probably won't be forgotten anytime soon.
Definitely not.
By anyone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, COVID, as far as, the whole pageantry thing that's just like, I know nothing about that. That's mind blowing. But like, as far as business goes and things like that, I mean, I can't imagine, you guys get done in what, you said October of 2019 with the shop
Greensburg
here in
store.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's gotta be insane. Like, did you guys like basically just like hit a wall, or was it kind of like, well, they're saying we should shut down, like, what should we do? It's kind of like, was it a slow?
I mean, we shut down when they told us to.
Okay.
Right.
So,
but, we ended 2019 like, I mean, we were like partying.
Yeah,
we
we
were
were
like,
like, this
right,
is
yeah.
fantastic.
We did a ridiculous amount of things this year, especially the one thing that you did.
The one.
Yeah, that one thing.
That one thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like all of it, we like met all this ridiculous list of goals, and we were riding high.
Right.
And we were ready to have like an enormous 2020,
Yeah.
like a 2020 where we have, Victoria going on very frequent appearances and trips and being gone, but we've got 2 stores, we've got great people working in them, we've got a team, like we're going to do it, and then done.
My mom
Right
and
into a
I,
wall.
at the beginning of February, we had gone to Las Vegas for a buying show, and that's the mindset that we were in February is buy big. Like we have 2 storefronts. It's our first year. The world is great. The world is normal. Let's buy everything that we can and go big or go home. And we went home with COVID, literally.
Yeah.
Everybody went home. But, we did shut down whenever we were told to, which I don't think really anybody expected. Our stores were closed for basically 2.5 months, I think almost 3 months straight. And I always say, even though we were closed, I found myself busier than ever because we were just fighting every single day and pushing ourselves as hard as we could to make sure our business survived. We were pushing online so hard. And, it worked out because we were able to open back up, a lot of other small businesses, you know, locally, across the state, across the country, even big retailers are going bankrupt and closing their doors for good. So we're just really thankful that both of our stores are back open, and we've even reached more people online now through COVID.
Yeah, we're lucky that we have the customers that we do.
Yeah.
Because they kept engaged with us.
For
and
sure.
They kept shopping with us throughout. And so, I mean, it hurt in a lot of ways.
Right.
Not as much as other people did, though, because we have a phenomenal customer base that really likes to shop with us, and we're glad that they do.
Well, yeah, sure thing. I mean, that's incredible that, you know, you had a nice customer base that was like willing to, you know, take in an uncertain time, spend money online. I mean, that's fantastic.
Take a chance on something that you can't come into the store and try on, things like that. Yeah.
Right.
And,
Oh, God.
they stuck with us.
That's so tough. Those are like little things that like you don't think about. This was only a few months ago, you know, and you know, just the idea that like you couldn't try things on, and then once you took them home, you had to hold on to them forever,
right?
Until who knows when you're allowed to return stuff.
If we got a return, we had to like disinfect it like crazy.
Right, yeah.
Like
that's so wild.
All these extra steps, you know, which are necessary. You got to keep people safe, but I mean, it makes things difficult. And
absolutely
everybody's adjusted, I think, now too, and we're a lot less closed down than we were. But again, it's still different
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, still very cautious, I think, but you know, lightening up in certain areas. Because like, I mean, we were just talking last night, me and my wife, and we were just saying like, do you remember when we would get like Amazon packages? I mean, we'd go out with Lysol and like spray down the boxes and stuff. And
grocery shopping, I would take like a Clorox wipe and wipe everything down as soon as we got back from the grocery store.
I was leaving stuff in the basement.
Yeah.
Like for a few hours or whatever the amount of time they told you to do it, and then it's safe to touch.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was tough because like, I mean, I was ordering video equipment. So like I can't leave lenses sitting out on my porch.
No.
Right.
I mean, A, they're going to get stolen, and B, the weather's not great. So it's just like, I can't. So I'm outside with gloves and taking the boxes, throwing those in the, you know, the garbage, and then bringing those boxes in the house, you know, and it was just like, man.
Oh, I was like the whole 9 yards. I had like all the gloves on, grocery shopping. My friend Miss Maine, she had to travel to Texas within the past like month or two, and her mom made her wear like gloves, like 2 masks, and she had goggles because you know they were talking about like if COVID is transferred through your sight, your eyes,
and
so
people be wearing goggles.
Yeah, and so she
and Miss
posted.
Maine's mother
she
said, "Yes, you should."
She sent me a selfie of her like on the plane just with goggles on and like masks and gloves, and I was like, I'm shocked they let you on the plane like that. Like,
yeah, you're definitely allowed to do some weird shit now. I mean, like walking into a store with a bandana over your face.
right?
I feel like I'm never gonna get used to that.
Yeah,
because I've been
it's so
doing the
strange.
bandana.
Yeah.
For the most part as my mask, and it feels like I'm like an old Western.
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy.
Bandit or something walking into Walmart.
You do.
It doesn't match up
It's
at all.
It's almost kind of fun. It's like, yo, I've kind of wanted to do this before, and now I get to. It's
I wanted to look like a
the
vigilante.
first time doing that was definitely the weirdest. I was like, if I had done this last week, they would have kicked me out.
Oh my God.
and now they're
absolutely.
gonna kick me out if I don't.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
It was
odd.
it was. Like that whole like everybody adapted so quickly. Well, some people aren't adapting. But it's just like, you know, it's real tough. And it was I remember going to the store, talking to my mom on the phone, and I was like, oh my God, there's somebody in the produce section with a mask on. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember the person beside me was like, oh my God, I saw them, and that was like nuts.
Right.
And a week later, I had a mask
Yep.
on,
Right.
and then I was wearing gloves, and I'm just like, man, this is crazy. You know what I mean?
I don't
You know
think
what? That-
anybody would have predicted.
No, and that
Ever.
was the weirdest trip, though, actually, now that you bring that up.
Yeah.
I did do the Walmart trip where it's not a rule yet, but about 50% of people
Yep.
Yeah.
maybe have a mask on. That was the weird one.
Oh, my favorite
was
thing was when
strange.
people were, stockpiling all the toilet paper and everything. I went to Giant Eagle, and the frozen ice cream section was just wiped out. You know how long that section is. There was no ice cream in sight.
People know what
And
they
I was like, I guess that's essential.
People know what they need. They're like, if I gotta stay home, I'm gonna enjoy
I need
it.
all the ice cream.
You got to eat your feelings at that point.
Yeah, you do. Sometimes you do.
It was shocking. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Awesome. Well, I had a great time talking to you guys.
Thanks.
I really,
So did we.
I'm super pumped to like see what goes on with you. This is like,
I will
it's
keep you
fantastic.
updated.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously if, when we're all done here, when you're done with your pageant, we got to get you guys back on.
Yeah.
Talk
Yeah,
about your
definitely.
experience and stuff.
That would
and
be
then,
awesome. I would love that.
Yeah. It'd be pretty awesome. It's great. I am very interested in, watching the store grow and everything. I hope you guys open 3 locations. I think that would be awesome.
Don't say that.
Right?
Don't say that around my dad.
Yeah.
He's all for that.
We got to have to talk him down a little
Yeah.
bit sometimes.
But thank you.
He
We
knows what he wants to
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate the support, though.
All right. Thank you guys for being on the show.
Thank you for having
Thanks.
us.